You're listening to the BDSM Alive radio show, hosted by MistressCandy69.
Take control of this beat on you. Rule this moment, what may come. I like this thing I am whenever you are near. There is no resistance here. She dominates, I need some pleasure with my pain. She dominates, abuse me with leather whips and chains. She dominates, brings me to a bleeding cry. Break the skin and tantalize. I need some pleasure with my pain.
You're listening to the Whip Appeal Show, hosted by MistressCandy69 from the BDSM Alive Radio Network. Hello, hello, hello in Radio Land. You're listening live to the, excuse me, I'm tongue-tied, the BDSM Alive Radio Network with Mistress Candy, and you are listening live to the Whip Appeal Show. And today is Friday, November 4th, 2022. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to send this link to somebody to listen to the show. So let's see if I can do this while I'm, let's see, copy link. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm trying to send a link to somebody so they can listen to the show. So if you're listening to me for the first time, you can go to Spreaker.com and type in Whip Appeal Show, and I should pop right up. So basically, you can find me through that, or you can put the app in your phone, and then once you go to the app, you go to the Whip Appeal Show, or find the Whip Appeal Show. So I'm just going to tell this person here. Once you're on the app, you're going to look in the search bar for Whip Appeal Show, and then you're going to click on that, and it should say that you're live, or you're listening to me live. All right, now that we got that out of the way. Phone lines are open tonight. Mistress is going to be going over some a kinky question and answer type thing that I usually do pretty much every show that I do. Being a dominatrix for 32 years, I get all kinds of people emailing me, asking me about different types of fetishes, and they usually like me to read their fetish on the air and then do like a description of it, or they basically, want me to answer some questions. Now, this week has been rather interesting. I got a couple of emails or messages on FetLife and Instagram, as well as my regular email for Mistress, of course, my Mistress email about this guy that has a cum shooting fetish. I actually have never heard, maybe I don't know, maybe it's a competitive sport, I have no clue. I thought it was pretty interesting. This fella emailed me, and I'll read the email. It says, "Dear Mistress, I know that you do a radio show, and I was kind of wondering if you would indulge in a little bit of my cum shooting fetish." So I emailed the fella back, and I said, well, tell me more about your cum shooting fetish, because I'm kind of interested in it. I've never heard anybody describe it as such. And basically, he had said in his email that he sets up lines of tape in his house, like 3 feet. No, first he said he starts off at a foot, then he goes 3 feet, and then he goes 5 feet. So basically what this guy does is he masturbates to a lot of porn, and he tries to shoot his ejaculate past the first piece of tape on the floor, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know how many guys actually stand there and actually like jerk off and aim to shoot a load of cum like further than they're really supposed to. So I don't know, maybe this is just something that this guy just emailed me. I've never heard of this. So if anybody's listening to the show tonight, you can go into the Spreaker chat and you can type some things to me and I can read them back to you. I've had people participate like this before, where they go in and they basically, chat with Mistress while I'm doing the show. So if you're listening and you don't have the balls to call in, you can use the Spreaker chat and you can go in there and ask me questions while I'm, doing the show. So back to the cum shooter, basically. That's what I'm going to label him, as a cum shooter. He basically asked me if he's ever heard if anyone has had a cum fetish. Now, I would say most people don't really just come out and say they have a fetish for cum unless you're a sissy faggot cocksucker who sucks dick behind closed doors and you enjoy the taste of cum. Now that's something that leaves for another whole show in itself. So when I asked this fella through numerous emails, he had told me that he likes to jerk off daily into like a Dixie cup, and then he or a clear like little shot glass, to where he actually takes like a child's or an animal type syringe for to give liquid medication, and he sucks it all up and he figures how many milliliters it is. And he was very proud to show me with some photographs that he had 10 mLs of semen in a syringe. So I said to him, I said, what do you do with this stuff? He goes, well, I put it in the freezer. I said, for what reason? He goes, so I can ingest it later on. So here we have a bunch of sick individuals out there who have a cum-eating fetish, whether it's their own or someone else's. And let me just interrupt something. Most of the time when I get these sort of emails, it's usually from guys that are like closet cocksuckers, and they're really not like into women. They just kind of get sexual arousement by men, whether they're dressing like a woman and sucking a man's cock, or they're a closeted bisexual sort of faggot cross-dresser, to where they're kind of in the closet with their sexuality, and they just, they don't tell you that they suck dick. They just, but you can tell they do, basically. So I don't know how many out there listening to the show tonight have thought of people with all sorts of weird fetishes. Now, being that I'm a dominatrix for 32, almost 33 years, you can bet your fucking bottom dollar that I've heard everything under the fucking sun. I've heard people tell me that they've had fetishes for mohair sweaters. People have hair and shoe fetish, nylon fetish, pantyhose, PVC, latex, leather fetish, you name it, it's there. Now, I've never really heard of anyone come out and quite tell me that they have a fetish for cum. And normally that would be something a woman would say, but more and more lately, within the past 20 years or so, I've been getting these closeted fag men that call into the show or send an email telling me they have an obsession with eating their own cum. Now, I don't know. I, for one, I'm not a cum swallower, so I really can't I really can't agree or say anything about it, because to me it's like, ugh, you know what I mean? And to me, I'm not a swallower. I just never was. Maybe back in the day I swallowed a lot of cum, but sure as hell lately I don't do that anymore, because to me it's like, I don't know, cum should go someplace else other than your mouth. How do you like them apples, okay? Whether it's up your ass or in your pussy or wherever, it just shouldn't be in your fucking mouth. So, to me, that's what I say about that. Now, there are people that, this just can't get any fucking better. There are other people that, email me telling me that they like the smell and consistency of their own semen. So I respond to them with an email back saying, hi, got your email. Wow. How does one compare their load to someone else's? And he goes, no. He goes, I compare it to my own every day. So then I had sent him an email back, and I said, well, are you into prostate play? And he goes, no. I said, well, I think you should honestly give yourself a nice prostate milking. And he goes, what's that? So I describe in an email that, just because you're not into suppose, all right, this is what I had said to the fella. I said, because he wasn't sure exactly what he wanted. And I said, well, you think you're gay? And he goes, no. He goes, I like jerking off. I like tasting my own cum. I like smelling and worshiping my own cum. And I said, well, that's pretty disgusting, but okay, that's your fetish or whatever. So I had said to him, I said, I've never really heard of anybody having a cum fetish before, so I thought it was kind of interesting. And actually, when I first read the email, I started laughing because I was like, wow, these fucking people are getting sicker and sicker by the moment. So no matter how long I've been in this industry, there's always one or two guys that never cease to amaze Mistress, meaning how fucked up are we? How fucked up is society to allow, or even for men to even want to eat their own semen in the first fucking place? If women don't like swallowing your load, why would you swallow your own load? It's fucking mind-boggling, I swear to God. So, with that being said, to answer this fella's question, I sent him an email telling him that I think he would be beneficial to try to find a dame in his area that would be willing to give him some sort of prostate play, since he has a cum fetish. And he explained to me that some of his loads were clear and runny, and he wasn't exactly sure how some of these guys in these porns had this thick, frothy, milky white semen. And I said, well, you know, I don't know what you eat. I don't really know you from a hole in the wall, nor do I care to know what your load and consistency is like. But if you want to try something different, since you have a cum fetish, I told him that he should find a dominatrix who's willing to give him some prostate play. Or he can do self-prostate play, where he takes a long, slender dildo. Now, this is what I told him. I said, listen, you know, if you're not really a horny little sissy bitch who's dying to have a cock up his ass, then you might want to get a small to medium size length, very skinny dildo, like a prostate dildo, I'd explained to him, and told him preferably one with a suction cup so he could do some intense anal milking on his own. I did give him specific instructions. I don't know if he's going to comply with the instructions, but I did tell him that he can basically fuck himself in his ass with his dildo, and he basically would have the biggest orgasm he's ever had in his life without touching his dick in his hand. And he seems pretty interested in it. So let's just see if he emails me back with his findings, if he actually goes and does it. Because I told him, since you are such a fanatic about, you know, looking at your own semen, this might be something you might want to add to your collection of sexual activities, so you can kind of check the thickness, consistency, and taste and flavor, if permissible, from himself, which I thought was absolutely disgusting, but whatever. Look, to each his own. That's why people come to me with disturbing fetishes. All right, for instance, another one today. Earlier today, I had gotten an email from a submissive that lives in Colorado that says, oh, Mistress, I know you're doing your show tonight. I really want you to read this question out loud for me on the show. So the question goes, have you ever heard of a sexual deviant that was doing nasty, disgusting things in public places and really didn't give a shit about the consequences? So I don't know if this guy really understands, but a sexual deviant basically will do anything and anything they possibly can in public, meaning, for instance, I think this fella had told me that he believes he's gay. That's number one. And I said, well, why do you believe you're gay? And he says, well, lately I've been only wanting to have sex with men, and all I can think about is sucking dick. And I said, well, that pretty much spits out that you are gay, but whatever. And basically, he tells me that the last week where he lives in Colorado, he actually wore a red nightie and went to a public park. This is pretty funny. And he was giving a blowjob to a guy in the park. So next thing he knows, he says he kind of looks up and there's this big black guy, an old man, standing next to the two of them, watching him suck this other guy's dick. So I said, wow. I'm like, if that doesn't shout exhibitionism, I don't know what does. He's got a combination of exhibitionism, sexual fetishism, voyeurism, and he's definitely a sexual deviant, because what makes this guy a deviant is the fact that he would even do all these things in public and didn't give a shit about who was watching or what the consequences was after the fact. So that basically breaks it down to someone who's a sexual deviant, right? So you have the exhibitionism part, the part of you don't care who's watching. Who knows? This guy could have gotten arrested for all the fuck I know, and he's not telling me. So I mean, like, there's all different. So if you're listening to the show tonight, Sexual Deviant in Colorado, that was his name, that the email he sent me, I hope that you take precaution, because let's say you go out in public again wearing a nightie, sucking a man's dick, and let's just say the guy like shoots cum all over your face, and then you go home or go somewhere and you have some evidence on you to where like you can reenact the scene from like There's Something About Mary with the hair gel. So like, I don't know, like some of these guys, I honestly like think I should put a filter in my emails about certain types of sexual deviant behavior, right? So it's kind of interesting. My whole 32 years of a dominatrix, I've only seen maybe about 5 or 6 people with sexual deviant tendencies, right? But now, in this day and age, I think everybody's a fucking sexual deviant. So it's kind of interesting. Let me just say something. Did you find it? I'm texting my guy while I'm doing the show. So, sexual deviants are pretty interesting characters. A couple of months back, I did a show about sexual fetishism, right? So now we're going to talk a little bit about sexual deviants and what makes them deviants and why, okay? So basically, a sexual deviant is any sexual behavior, such as, or paraphilia, which is a fetish, that is regarded as significantly different from the standards established by culture or subculture, right? So it includes sexual behavior, voyeurism, which I said, fetishism, necrophiliism, transvestitism, sadism, and exhibitionism. They're also parts of called sexual deviation, right? So what does it mean to be sexually deviant, okay? It characterizes any arousal or sexual preference directed towards objects or activities outside of societal norms. At the most extreme, interest in such behavior is labeled as a paraphilia, which are fetishes, by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So here we go again, where there are some parts of BDSM that regular vanilla people who are not into BDSM or any type of sexual fetishism, would consider my type of people with mental disorders, okay? So, now granted, I don't think I'm a mental patient, but some of the subs that I've had in my graces throughout the years have been absolutely horrific mental patients. And it's kind of true, I think, to some degree, where you have a lot of these cross-dressing males that they put women's clothes on and they want to be fucked like a woman. But dude, you're forgetting you have cock and balls between your legs. You are not a fucking female. You will not be a female unless you have your cock and balls cut off and you have what's is called an orchidectomy, where they actually shave down your Adam's apple to hide the fact that you're a man. But the other thing is you also have to go on a shitload of fucking hormones to make yourself look feminine, to where you grow breasts and stop producing facial hair. So, I mean, these are all like... And these are people that are usually like transvestites, that are usually are sexual deviants, that go all the way and then have that gender reassignment surgery, and then they live their lives as women, okay? So most of them have serious mental problems. I mean, at least the ones I've come across anyway. I mean, I don't know. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it on air, and I've said it many a times before. Mistress is totally finished with cross-dressers. I do not want to play with any cross-dressers anymore in the rest of my career. I have, like, had it with them. They all fucking top from the bottom. They all fucking try to outdo the dominant, whether it's male or female. And I've had this discussion with male dom friends who have actually owned sissy cross-dressers, and we've all had the same group discussion to where the more deviant they are, the more deviant they are, the more non-submissive they are. Because a deviant is only there for their own sexual fetishism. Again, this brings this whole back to like fetishist rather than submissive. And there's a big difference between someone who's a fetishist and then someone who's an actual true submissive. So, you know, all these different types of things all stem from one thing. Could this person be mentally insane? Probably. Could this person be a deviant? Probably. Do the two go hand in hand? Absolutely. I mean, think about it. If you're a guy and you have a sexual fetishism and you are what is known as a insecure, disobedient deviant, then you are going to be doing things that your mistress or master does not allow. And then if you're going to be doing that behind their back, that is also the non-submissive way for you to be pissing off your dominant, and the dominant releases or dismisses you due to unruly behavior. Kind of interesting. And, you know, when I practice BDSM, I have a set of rules and protocols. If the submissive does not meet my guidelines, they are cut free and never spoken to ever again. I don't put up with bullshit in my stable, nor do I put up with subs topping from the bottom or sexual fetish deviants doing whatever the fuck they want to do. These people, like I said, sexual deviants really need to be by themselves. They cannot be tamed or, and I hate to use that term, but I'm going to use it. They can't be tamed. There's nothing submissive about them. It's all about me, and that's all they care about is themselves. These are the type of submissives that I really stay away from. I am not interested in fetishists. I am not interested in sexual deviants because all of them are absolutely fucking batshit crazy. It's kind of funny. A couple of months back, I think when Sir Lorenzo had called into the show, we had a discussion about these new dominants not using protocols. And it's kind of interesting. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it on air. The TNG, which myself and Sir Lorenzo called the next generation of young doms, whether it's femdom or male dom, they all think that verbal abuse and financial domination is the way to dominate somebody. I don't know where the hell you people went to BDSM school, but that's not how you dominate somebody, number one. You know, if they were to even think of doing the style of domination that I do, they would be running for the fucking hills. I have very strict protocols, and hold on, let me answer this phone call. Hello? Oh, hello, Sir Lorenzo. Are you listening to the show this evening? Are you listening? We're talking a little bit about sexual deviance.
I hear.
Literally, I got emails like twice this week about this one guy that had a cum fetish. I mean, what the fuck, first of all? Usually that's something that comes out of a horny woman's mouth, not a guy's mouth. I mean, don't you agree with me?
Yeah, that's one of those unique fetishes that you normally don't hear about.
Yeah, but the funny part is this guy sent me an email of photos that he took on his floor in his house where he marked tape to see how he says he watches porn continuously, and he basically will try to ejaculate further than where the tape is placed on the floor. So I said to him in an email, I said, wow, Olympic cum shooting. Pretty interesting. I said, I've never heard of it, but tell me more about it. Like, who the fuck does that? Who the fuck does that? Like, these people email me the most disturbing things I have ever heard in my life. I should have told him. I should have told him to call into the show to discuss it on air. I should have told him to do that.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
I mean, because then my listeners
Yeah,
would
that
either
one.
be gagging or like some of the horny fags at home would be sitting there jerking off listening to the guy talk about fucking cum shooting. They should make it for the fetish Olympics, the sexual deviant Olympics. They should make it like cum fetish shooting, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I have to come up with a name for that now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
almost like
get 'em to call it.
squashing, but not quite. Oh my!
What's the farthest that he said he reached? Did he tell you?
He told me one time he shot 3 feet across his room.
Okay.
So I had suggested, and now his other thing was he had a fetish for the thickness, the smell, the taste, and the consistency of it. So I had said to him, I said, well, maybe you should find yourself a male playmate and test his thickness and smell and consistency and taste also. And he didn't write back after that. Maybe he didn't like my answer, but that was like so I did tell him that, he should try to do milking his prostate, because he was telling me his cum was all clear and watery and not that, like, kind of looked like watery egg yolks. So I had said to him, I said, well, I messaged him back and I said, well, maybe you should try to do a prostate milking on yourself. I advised him to he told me he had a dildo. And I said, well, how big is it? He goes, oh, it's 5 inches. I said, listen, that in no way in hell is going to reach your prostate. You're going to have to go buy like a slender willy with a suction cup on it. And he's like, so he puts LOL, really? And I said, yes. I said, you need to at least get 7 or 8 inches up there. And when you put it on the wall, you might want to tilt your hips to the right so you definitely go and massage the prostate. And he goes, Mistress, how do you know where the prostate is? I said, believe me, I've milked tons of prostates. I know where it is. So I said, if you were to go and do this, you would literally have a totally different orgasm. I told him that his man chowder, that's what I like to call it, would like to be, it would definitely be thicker, creamier, and more white. Hence, that's why they call it milking the prostate. And I explained to him that he wouldn't have to be standing there jerking off either. If he was to do it in such a way, he would have hands-free masturbation and a hands-free orgasm. So what do you think about that?
Let's see if he calls you back or, writes you back.
I'm hoping he writes me back to let me know. I said, let me know how your anal endeavors goes and best wishes to you. And then I had this other fella email me, I think it was this morning, early, and he tells me that he is a sexual deviant, okay? He swears up and down. He lives, I call him something in Colorado, like whatever, deviant in Colorado. That was the name he wrote on the email. And he was telling me that he lately has broken up with his girlfriend and he can't stop thinking about men, and that he's been going, since him and his girlfriend broke up, he's been on he told me it was a spree of men. And I said, oh God, this reminds me of somebody, but whatever. So basically he said a spree of men. And the latest thing he did was, and he said this was completely out of character, and he asked me if I thought he was a sexual deviant. So earlier on the show, I had spoke about him, and I had said that he dressed up in a bright red nightie, first of all, went out to a public park in Colorado where he lives, and he said he met up with a total complete stranger, somebody he found on Grindr, he was telling me. And he had the guy meet him in the park. And in front of the whole fucking park, he just goes on his knees and starts sucking this guy's dick. So I tell him in the email, I said, wow, that's pretty deviant, I will say. I said, was anybody watching you? He tells me in another email like 5 minutes later that, yeah, when he was done sucking this guy's dick, there was an elder black man standing there with a cane watching the whole thing. So not only is he a sexual deviant, but he's into voyeurism, exhibitionism, and fetishism. So yeah, he's definitely a sexual deviant and doesn't give a fuck about the consequences either. So I did tell him that I said, this type of behavior could get you into some trouble. It's pretty risky. A lot of sexual deviants do risky behavior and they end up in jail. So I was trying to give him some good advice about it. But it kind of makes me wonder how many out there listening to the show tonight is or has done things and now they consider themselves a sexual deviant.
Yeah, you never know. They may not know that they fall under that category.
Exactly. So I hope you fuckers are listening to the show tonight, sitting home and a big light bulb just went off and goes, "Holy fuck, that's me!" Like, I mean, I'm not really a sexual deviant. I'm a deviant, but not a sexual deviant.
What have you been doing since Exotica?
Working a lot, and actually I crushed my finger at work yesterday. So today I went to have an x-ray done, and they tell me it's not broken or fractured. But see, I'm a little smarter than them. I took a little dental film of my finger yesterday, and I can see a little crack where I crashed into. What happened was I had a woman that was kind of big, and I had to move some equipment around so she can get to the chair. You know what I mean? So I moved this like 500-pound laser that's on wheels. Like, no, it's probably like 300 pounds, but I moved it. And I thought I put the brake on so it wouldn't slide because, like, kind of where my office is, it's like a little incline over there. And it was starting to shift, and I didn't want it crashing into the woman. So instead, I grabbed it and put it up against the wall, and I crushed my finger. So, so now I can't play guitar because my fucking finger. Actually, believe it or not, I tried to play guitar about 15 minutes before I did the show. And oh God, it was killing me. I took the splint off and everything. And then now I'm like, okay, the splinters obviously have to go back on. So I go to City MD earlier and they tell me that it's not broken or fractured. But I'm like, why do I have such a huge bruise there? And why is it burning when I like move my finger? So I call back and I speak to the radiologist and I tell him, listen, you need to reread this x-ray. I'm pretty sure I have a fracture in this finger. The pain that I have is associated with a fracture. I saw a crack I told him where I saw it. And he re-looks at it and goes, yeah, actually you do have a hairline fracture. So I was fucking right again. I fractured my fucking finger. But why they would... So they gave me a splint. See, my whole thing is, if it wasn't fractured, why would you give me a splint?
Yeah, what were they saying? Ligament damage at first?
No, they told me I had a fucking contusion or something, or a crush injury. It literally says on here, crush injury and a contusion. It says, as a result caused by bleeding under the skin. Yeah, when you fucking break your fucking finger. That's exactly what it's from. So, like... I just, whatever. Look, that's why I took my own type of x-ray yesterday. I brought it into them. I showed them the crack on the x-ray. And the lady goes, well, I'm going to have the doctor take new x-rays. They tell me, oh, it's just a contusion. But I leave there and I'm like, why are you giving me a splint if I don't have a fucking fracture in my finger? So basically, I call them back and yell at them, and yes, I'm correct. There's a hairline fracture in my fucking finger that I saw on the x-ray that I took in my office, right after I smashed my fucking finger.
Oh, boy.
But you know what? Look, it's not one thing. I had the spinal fusion 6 months ago, and I'm healing great from that, although I'm relatively pretty sore just from normal activities, and... I try to go to the gym, but it's like, I get exhausted. So honestly, I've been working out at home with dumbbells and, but light, nothing crazy, lifting maybe 5 and 8 pounds max here. When I go to the gym, that's a little bit of a different story, but let's just leave it at that. I know what I can and can't lift. And then now, of course, I have this fucking finger bullshit going on. So it's like, if it's not one thing, it's a fucking another. So the doctor tells me don't do any rapid left hand movement. So I know this doctor because I see her frequently to fix my ears when my ears get clogged. And Doctor, I won't even say her name, but it's pretty funny. It's. I'll have to tell you afterwards. This woman has the worst name on the face of the earth. So, but anyway, I tell her, about my neck and this and that, and then she goes, "Oh, now you have the finger." I said, so she goes, "No rapid hand movement." So I said, "Oh, I guess I can't jerk my boyfriend off with the left hand," and she said, "No." She said, "No, use your right hand to jerk him off." It was hilarious. And then she looked at me and shook her head and goes, "Oh my God." Like, Look, my doctors know me very well, so that's, kind of funny. So what have you been doing since Exotica? Now, are you going to the next Exotica? I won't be going, but when is the next one anyway?
Yeah, I'll be at the one in DC.
And when is that? What month is that in? December, right?
Yeah, that's like the first weekend in December out in Dulles. So I'll definitely be doing that one.
And what's the one after that?
We go again next year. I think it's in April in Chicago.
Oh, April, right? And then I think April, May. Didn't they still do the one in Miami?
Yeah, it'll be Chicago, Miami, then Jersey again. Jersey, I think they moved to November 4th, something like that next year.
Oh yeah, because you know what's funny? Years and years ago, it was always in November. Up until like a couple of years ago, they only started making it October. But I guess they have to make it when they know they're going to have the convention center open. Because now the convention center hosts like weed events and all kinds of other shit over there. Maybe they didn't have that weekend available. So, and when we go in November, it's going to be fucking freezing.
Yeah, it is.
Because I remember going in November and had snow on the ground a few times.
Yeah,
back in the day.
November, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to watch it with your heels next year,
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that. I actually just got some black flats, so but little dressy flat shoes. I in my storage unit I have low-heeled boots, which I couldn't find before going to Exotica this year, so I kind of didn't wear them, but. The night you saw me at the party for Mikey Ramos, I had sandals on, remember? Because my feet were fucking killing me.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
And honestly, I was worried that people were going to stomp on my feet at the after party because I had fucking sandals on. And I never wear sandals to Exotica, except in my hotel room, and that's about it. Not wearing them, like, outside. And my friend Chris goes, "Somebody's gonna step on your feet." I'm like, "Don't fucking tell me that." I don't want to hear that people are gonna be stepping on my fucking feet. Like, that's just no. But that was a very busy Exotica this year. This was probably one of the bigger ones, yeah. I think. Right?
This was the biggest one that they've had ever. So, and you could see the crowds, and the floor was packed.
Oh, I know.
Was overpacked,
Actually, yes, Saturday when I told you, I went there in the daytime, and then I was so tired I had to take a nap. And I went back to the room, and I took a nap for a couple of hours. And I even missed my friend from Jersey. My friend Vietz went there, and he texted me and goes, Where are you, mistress? And I said, I was sleeping. So I texted him when I woke up, and I said, "Are you still here?" He goes, "No, me and my wife left." I'm like, "God damn it." He goes, "Where were you?" I said, "Honestly, I went to sleep." He goes, "Why were you sleeping?" I said, "I was tired from walking around in heels. You're forgetting I had surgery 6 months ago, and I probably shouldn't have been walking in that high heels, but that's all right. I'll tell you what, it was worth it. My feet were killing me for a week after that, but then I felt better after, so it was all good. So.
Yeah, but it turned out nice. Everything turned out nice.
Yeah, it totally turned out good. So let me ask you, you're on Twitter and shit. By the way, I loved your chicken sandwich photo that you sent me on Twitter. That was fucking hilarious. Sir Lorenzo has a way with words. He sent Mistress a photo of a person with a piece of bread in the hand. And it had a chicken leg in it. It says the original chicken sandwich. It was fucking great.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's how it used to be, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I do a
So
lot of Twitter.
let me ask you: when you're on Twitter, do you ever get like submissives emailing you and asking you bizarre things?
Once in a while, you may get a request on a DM, and somebody might ask something. Yeah, not too much, but yeah, once in a while, you get something.
And what is the craziest thing you've ever gotten in an email from a submissive?
Let's see.
You're like,
Think
oh
about
God.
that one.
Not guys talking about shooting cum across their houses. Not guys talking about the consistency of their loads and describing it to mistress, which is pretty gross. Another guy's fucking talking about sucking dick in parks with black people watching. I mean, so there's like all sorts of shit that I've been getting lately, and some of them are kind of bizarre, if you ask me.
Yeah. Usually what might come across is a female asking something about what their male is doing or not doing, you know. And
A female dom or a sub?
not even in the sub-dom relationship. It's just
just women in general? Okay.
Yeah. Then they have an interest in the DS type of dynamics and really don't have a clue, you know, what it entails and the seriousness of it.
Right. Well, it's funny. Earlier, it's right when I was talking about the TNG. It's like when you must have like ESP or something, because I had said every time I talk about you and I talk about the TNG, it makes us older lifestylers, you know, when somebody new comes to us, they've been playing around with these fakakta doms that are fucking, you know, think domination is fucking verbal abuse or financial domination. Now, financial domination in itself is an actual fetish. There are men out there that like to be wallet raped and like to give money to women, but that's a financial control issue. That's not so much a lifestyle. It's more of a fetish. Like cuckolding, people think is a fetish. It's a lifestyle. This is where, like, the lines get crossed of the TNG and our generation, the old school, old guard leather BDSM, where we have rules and protocols. Like, we wouldn't dream of walking up to their submissive and touching their fucking collar around their neck, because that's a big fucking no-no. You don't touch anybody's slave's fucking collar. Or even talking to someone submissive without permission. They don't realize that that's like fucking seriousness for us. That's like poaching, and I don't go for that shit, you know?
Yeah, you see that mistake all the time, especially when it's a male and a female submissive. Another male will reach out and, you know, shake the hand of the submissive or something like that. But, you know, without even addressing the dom first, you know, the dom presents the submissive, you know, it's as if the submissive isn't there until, you know, it's acknowledged that they're there.
Right.
Other than that, you don't even address that, you know, that person. But that's a mistake that's always made.
Oh, I know. Well, you know what's interesting? When I used to go to these play parties, and I knew these older dominants, older than me, when I was still kind of like learning when I was younger, I remember my mentor told me, never, ever, ever touch or look at another submissive unless you go to their owner and ask permission. Some owned and collared slaves and submissives will think it's okay to talk to another dominant and not realizing you're getting yourself in some fucking serious hot water by doing that, because you're kind of breaching you're breaching the protocol and the rules you've established with your dominant, and now you're kind of like I not dom hopping, but it's in the same type of category where they're not really paying attention and not realizing that, just because I know your mistress or master still does not mean it's appropriate for you to talk to me unless you have their permission. End of story.
Yeah. You know, back in the day, a lot too, you would notice that the sub and the dynamic a lot of times would have their eyes down while the two doms were talking.
Yes, because my slave Paula, he's not even allowed to look in my fucking eyes unless I tell him to. And then when we're out in public, like, you'll meet him eventually. At some point, he had said when his wife, they get her situated, because Paula I've owned for 15 years. He's going to be 75 in January. And, you know, he misses he's an exhibitionist. He dresses as a gothic slut because he's well known in his male form, so he's got to paint his face so no people don't know who he is. That's why he does that. And when he's out in public with me, he doesn't dare look at me unless I tell him to. When he's walking behind me, guess where his eyes are fixated? At my feet. His eyes are fixated at my feet only. He is to watch my feet and no other part of my body. And then when I instruct him to, he is to pick his head up. He's almost like I hate to use this term, but he's like a trainable pet, okay? Like a Polly want a cracker type. Like he does, you know, he understands protocol. He understands rules. I've taken him to play parties where other mistresses are like, wow, he's so well behaved. I said, yes, because he has an excellent teacher. Because if he's not behaved, he's a reflection of me, and I don't need him to make me look bad. That's what I told everybody. So my slaves and submissives are in the highest form of protocol. Actually, Paula, I had trained with Gorian slavery, so when he's in front of me, he's in the Naju position at all times. So he actually is, yeah, and his final collar is a Gorian rolled slave collar that does not unlock. You catch my drift?
Yeah, I got it.
He wears a Gorian slave collar. So now he's in this collar, and his wife, oh gosh, his wife is like elder. She's going to be put in a facility soon because she's not well. So he tells me, he goes, mistress, I said, yes. He goes, it's kind of hard to hide my collar in front of my wife. I said, well, guess what? It's staying there. Wear a fucking turtleneck. That's what I told him. So in the summertime, he was wearing turtlenecks with the air conditioner on to hide his Gorian slave collar in front of his wife. So he still wears the collar. It's been on him for the past, I don't know, 10 years now. In the beginning, he went through a series of collars. He had his consideration collar, his training collar. Then he had, his, like, final type of collar. And then I graduated him to the Gorian slave collar. Because I think out of everyone, he earned it out of everybody. Very submissive, a true slave. Never, ever, ever told me what to do. Knew his fucking place and still does. Whenever I talk to him and he can't talk to me on the phone, he'll text me back, yes, mistress, I'll text you when I can talk. And I said, okay. So he'll then text me, can I talk to you? And I'm like, yeah. So then, so it's kind of an interesting factor of, oh my God, my friend Mezzy just texted me. Hilarious. What did he write? Oh my God. Let me just tell him. I was supposed to do guitar lessons with him, but I can't now because my fucking finger's fucked up. So it's all these things that I like to do, I can't do them because of my finger. But I'll tell you what, I can definitely point the finger at my submissive who will take an order from me with this finger. So maybe it's good that the finger's straight like that. Yeah. I mean, look, I tried to play guitar earlier. It was all right. It was a little painful, but whatever. I don't know. I mean, look, I have to bend it to do certain things, get dressed or whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to have... They said I can take the splint off when I'm doing things, but when I'm resting, I should really have it on because they want my finger straight.
Yeah.
So...
It's good that you're doing all right. I see you got Rita signed up for your thing, and she'll be on soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm so excited that Rita's coming on the network. It's kind of funny when I saw Evan at Exotica. He was like, how did you get her to go on there? I said, we've been talking about it for a while. She's a good friend of mine. She's going to be home healing for a very long time. This is kind of like the ideal time for her to do it. What's that?
Yeah, she's hard-headed, too. She's out there at the pool almost dancing a little bit,
Exactly.
No,
So
she can't sit still.
all right. So for me, I think it's great that she's going to be on because, you know, she has a lot of fans and followers. Rita, a few years back in, let me see, what year was this? Probably like 2000 and, I want to say like 2013 or 14 or something. I went to Chicago for Exotica. And her and I were playing around in the dungeon. And there was this guy in there that wanted bull trampling and bull kicking. Hence, maybe now this is why the Exotica dungeon is different. So, Rita and I got this fella who completely volunteered for this. And Rita had on like these 6-inch spiked stiletto shoes, had spikes on them. They were gorgeous. And I think at the time I had the typical boots that I wear, but not so shiny. They were just regular black. And basically, her and I took turns kicking this guy in his cock and balls and laughing in his face and the whole 9 yards. Rita loved it. She thought it was fucking so much fun that the funny part was she got directed by me to do it. So her and I showed her how to do it, like to turn her foot a certain way to kick, so you kind of just graze the testicles. Very light grazing to the testicles is pretty fucking damn bad, okay?
She has the spikes on her shoes, though. So.
Yeah, so she also gave him a great cock and bull torture session. Then we laid him on the floor, and then the both of us took our high-heeled shoes and stomped on his cock and balls. Through his pants. He wasn't naked at all during this, but we were able to, look, he wanted it, he got it. I don't know what to tell you. Be careful what you wish for sometimes, you know?
Yeah, they're not, you don't see that at Exotica anymore, really. Not to that extent.
No, I mean, look, you'd be lucky if you're allowed to spank somebody in the dungeon. It's kind of, you know. But what you do in your hotel room or at the after party is a different story.
Yeah,
There was one Exotica in 2017 that I had a guy that came up to me and told me he had an armpit fetish. And what do you know? I was sweating so fucking bad that time, I let him lick my armpits. He was like, wow. He goes, oh, you're really sweaty too. I said, that's exactly why I wanted you to lick them. Because the sweatier the better. I said, you have an armpit fetish? Here you go, motherfucker. And this was probably, 17, 18, 19, 20. This was 5 years ago when I did this. So, I remember his name. I think he still follows me on Instagram or something. But he wanted to lick my sweaty armpits, and I let him. He paid me some money, and I let him do it.
Okay.
Why not? There's an armpit fetish. Believe it or not, I actually went to high school with a couple of guys that have armpit fetishes, too. So, kind of interesting. I mean, I've never heard of them liking a hairy armpit fetish, because I don't have hair. But there are women who do have hair. Then some guy the other day told me he had a hairy pussy fetish. I said, well, you're looking at the wrong dom because I'm bold as an eagle. I don't know what to tell you. I said, you ain't seeing my pussy anywhere, whether you like it or not. I said, you could worship me from afar and imagine what I look like. Why? Because I do CFNM. He goes, what the fuck is that? I said, clothed female, naked male. True domination. I said, you will never fucking see me naked, ever. End of story. That's what I told him. He goes, well, my last mistress didn't do that. I said, well, your last mistress wasn't a mistress, because mistresses don't take their clothes off unless they're doing private cam work. I said, if your dom dominates you naked, she's got issues. Right.
That's a different dynamic altogether then.
Exactly. That's a totally different dynamic. Correct. Mm-hmm.
Completely.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look.
Well, that's good you're doing all right, since Exotica.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know. I figured I'd do my show on Friday like as promised. Nice and live like it's supposed to be instead of recorded. But, sometimes when shit gets busy, I have to do recorded shows. I have to do them,
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, we'll look forward to seeing who else emails you now that the floodgates are open. You're going to get everything now.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I can only imagine what my Twitter has gone. I checked Twitter briefly before, and there was some crazy messages in there. Somebody told me they've been listening to the show. They really like it. I said, that's good, I said, it'd be nice if you give me some good feedback, whatnot. So, but, some people don't like to do that because they don't want their handle. I don't know, whatever. I couldn't fucking give a shit. Look, the show's on a lot of networks. We're on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Google Play. We're on, let's see what, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher. I'm on a lot of fucking apps. So if you just Google BDSM Alive Radio Network, you'll find it everywhere. Or Google even me, Mistress Candy. You'll find me fucking all over the internet. It's funny because people are like, oh, are you real? Yeah, I must be if you're talking to me in person.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
What do you have planned coming up?
What do I have plans coming up? I don't know. I really haven't, what do I have planned coming up? I don't know. I'm supposed to maybe do a pro-dom session here or there. This guy, Thomas Bonds, keeps emailing me on FetLife and wants to do a session. He wants me to tie him up, give him verbal humiliation, and face slapping. Pretty interesting.
All right.
Face slapping, I like to do. What's that?
I said with your right hand since your left is out of commission right now.
Yeah, I definitely have to. Well, look, I'm better with my right hand anyway. I'm a righty. I never smack anybody with the left hand. My right hand's the more dominant hand. So let me tell you, I smack you with my fucking right hand, your fucking head's gonna fall off. So, ask my ex-submissive. He'll tell you he cowered like a little bitch when I went to fucking smack him that time.
No, you said you're not talking about that.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I'm using that as an example, So, using that as an example on how hard I can hit people. They don't realize how fucking strong I am. So, what they say, be careful what you wish for in BDSM with the face slapping and bull crushing and bull kicking and cock and bull torture and...
Yeah, you never know. You think you know sometimes, and then it's like,
But the best thing is when you have a submissive on that cross and they're blindfolded, you can see them shaking like leaves way before you even start doing anything.
You gotta make sure they go to the bathroom before you can put them up there.
Exactly, because what'll happen? They'll get nervous and either piss or shit themselves. I've had a submissive one time at a play party, probably about 20 years ago. I was getting ready to flog him, and he totally, pissed his pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I laughed at him.
The anticipation.
What's that?
The unknown. The anticipation and the unknown, it just triggers your bodily functions to fail.
I've had dudes fart in the fucking dungeon, dude. It's hilarious. And then I would make fun of them and go, did I give you permission to make that noise? And they're like, no, ma'am. I'm like, what do you do? What do you say to mistress after that? I'm sorry I farted, mistress. It's hilarious. And you know what they usually get? They get like a dirty sock shoved in their mouth while they're getting a session done. As punishment for making a bodily function they should have not done without my permission in the first place.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hopefully you can do that session. Make it work for you.
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome. Listen, I feel bad for the next submissive who comes in my good graces. I'm only kidding. No, I'm not like that. Well, they say you have to be in safe, sane, consenting mind when you are playing that type of behavior. So again, I like to say, RAC, risk-aware consensual kink, right? Or SSC, safe, sane, and consensual. By both parties, not just one, both people have to be on the same page when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it has to be on both ends. And sometimes when I do pro-dom sessions, I have them sign paperwork. I check their medical histories to make sure they're not going to have a heart attack when they're with me also.
No, definitely, yeah.
Because, I had this one guy from Maine a couple of years back, drove when I was living in upstate New York, and he drove I don't know how many hours to upstate New York and stayed at a hotel one weekend, and I had corporal punishment sessions with him for 2 days. Now, mind you, some of these pictures are on my FetLife profile. If you look at this heavy set, I'll have to send you the link. I annihilated him. He left with a black and blue ass, right, the first night. I kind of just got him, warmed up. He was, had some pink bruising and some kind of, scattered purple dots is a good way to put it. The second day he came back, and I did corporal punishment number 2. Oh, my God. When he left, he said to me, he goes, wow. He goes, that was the best session of my life. He goes, I had the best beatdown somebody could possibly give somebody. And then 3 weeks after I saw him, he messaged me on FetLife and told me that I was the best dame to give him a strict corporal punishment session. I mean, I used the dragon's tail and I whipped his ass, and then it wrapped around to the side to the hip, so it really got his hip flexor. He had marks from my dragon tail whip on his hips, he said, for 3 months. But he wasn't bleeding, but he was pretty fucking black and blue. There's another picture on my FetLife of someone who I have that leather flogger that has barbed wire on it. And I used it on him. His ass was fucking purple by the end of this. Purple, red, all different pretty hues of purple, lavender, magenta, fuchsia. I mean, you name it. His ass was a work of art. I swear to God. And I think I was 31 maybe when I did this to him. And a couple of weeks or about a month or two ago now, he messaged me on FetLife and he goes, Mistress, where are you located now? I think I want to make a drive down to see you for another corporal punishment session. And I said, well, I'm a little further than I was. I'm 4 hours more than where you saw me the last time. And he goes, let me know when the dates are available. He goes, I could use a beating. I've been a bad, bad boy. This is what he tells me. Now, little does he not realize that Mistress is no longer 320 pounds. Mistress has muscle now. So Mistress can really, dish out some heavy-duty corporal punishment sessions, and he doesn't know what the fuck he's getting himself into either.
Yeah, more cardio, everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So he thinks that last time was good. I feel bad. I feel bad for his ass just thinking about it. How's that? Now, of course, in my corporal punishment sessions, I always have them use safe words, okay?
Yeah.
So I tell him the safe word is red. No joke. I must have whipped him solid for about 45 minutes, and then I kind of gave him a little break for a minute. And I'm like, are you done? He goes, no. I said, you want more? He goes, yes. I said, okay. So I also read his body language, and I could tell he was getting a little beaten down, so I kind of lightened up a little bit, I was still whipping him, but not as hard. I didn't break his skin. But one of the last times I whipped him, I broke his skin, and he was bleeding. I stopped after that. And he goes, oh, keep going. I said, no, you're fucking bleeding, dude. Am I going to get blood on my carpet?
You got to bring some plastic with you next time.
Yeah, but I could have literally whipped him to death and made a bloodbath out of him, but I stopped because, look, it was the first time I sessioned with him in 2 days. Like, I did one session the day before. He literally came for the weekend, and I beat the shit out of him all weekend long. And he loved it. He loved every fucking minute of it. But that's what you call a pain slut. He was a true masochist. And perfect for my sadistical ways. They always say the sadist needs a good masochist, and that's all it takes. Sadomasochism, right? Like so.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
some of those exotica pictures, they look pretty nice.
Oh, I know. Thank you. I think I look pretty good in those pictures too, right?
Yeah, you got pictures with everybody.
Yes, I got pictures with you and Casey, and pictures with Evan and Mike and Mad Harlot and the condom guy and a whole bunch of other people that, I've seen throughout the years of Exotica. But I have to say, you guys are my extended family. I love you guys very much. You and Casey and Rita, and I saw Kimmy Kaboom while I was there. She knows me pretty well. I know Kimmy for years. And who else was there? Well, Rita didn't go, as we all know. And where is that picture, that Mad Harlot? Was that from the year? It was from the year before, correct? Yeah, because I also have pictures with Rita, her wearing that same outfit, actually, when her and I went to go meet Seika, and Seika's manager gave me a ruler that had like 6 inches on it, right? Like, and I was like, "What's this?" Like,
it changes colors when you grab it. It's supposed to be like your mood changes the color of it.
Oh, yeah, I think I still have it. One year it was Thomas blue, another time it was green. And I was like, am I fucking hallucinating, or is this thing turning colors?
It turns colors.
I think that I had asked Seika, I said, do you use this to measure up guys before they fuck you in porn? And she started laughing. She goes, yeah, how'd you guess? I was like, oh my God.
She may be. She'll probably be at Miami next year for sure.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
We'll see stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Wait, you're a Rito
Yeah, I can't wait for her to come too. I have to finish her intro still. I have to find the cougar for the growling. I have to finish that. I'm planning on finishing it like tomorrow, I think, at some point, or the next couple of days. Because she told me there was no rush, but she's going to be coming on soon. She's only like 3 weeks after surgery now, yes?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I think November 13th, she'll be 1 month post-op from her spinal cervical fusions. And she had multiple levels. She had like, I think she had C1 down to T3 done, correct? Yeah. So,
she's got to take it easy for a while.
Yeah, she's got, because when I spoke to her about mine, and I said, Rita, mine's a little different than yours. I only had one like disc replaced, but they did a bone graft and the decompression. Hers was a little different. I don't know how long she's been with the numbness. I know she had numbness for a while, and I only had it for 4 months, my numbness, and then had the surgery. But, I healed pretty good, but I'm still like, I'm not 100%, but I'm probably 80% that I would be if I, didn't have the surgery. Though, God, let me tell you, I was like dreading that surgery. But I'll tell you what, I had it done. It was great, and I feel better now, and the best part is my fingers and my shoulder aren't numb anymore, so that's a good thing.
That's good.
But hopefully, Rita heals up and then she comes on with her cougar zone, and I'll probably be a guest on her show actually at some point, being that I'm a cougar in my relationship too. So, because her and I talked about it, and I said, yeah, I would definitely come on your show as a guest, absolutely. So it's pretty awesome. So why not, right? I can growl and scratch too, like, or, like, so you'll never hear me make those noises ever again, by the way. So I'm just saying. That was me being a little frisky in the moment. But
I'm gonna move on and let you do your thing.
yeah, I'm probably gonna say goodnight anyway. It's 11:04. I'm probably just gonna. I did over an hour tonight, which was really good. So, my main thing was to talk about those guys with the Dear Mistress column with the questions and answer. And it's kind of interesting. Each show I try to include a couple of them. I get tons of them every fucking day, but I always pick the worst two out to do. So it's kind of comical, actually. Or in the best case scenario, to them, the best type of obnoxious sexual fetishism I could find.
Yeah, we'll see what you come up with next week.
Exactly.
See what they do for you.
Exactly. Keep those fucking emails coming in, guys. Right? All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Sir Lorenzo. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. All right. Bye-bye. So that was pretty cool. Sir Lorenzo called in, but I am going to say goodnight for this evening. And I hope you all enjoyed listening to the show, and I am going to be live next Friday also on the BDSM Alive Radio Network with the Whip Appeal Show, hosted by moi, yours truly. And keep the emails coming in on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course BDSMAliveRadio@gmail.com. You can send me your questions and I can answer them on the air. The phone number to call into the show next week is 516-406-3512. And I want to thank you all for listening. And of course, I want to thank Spunk Lube, our sponsor for the show. And that's about it. And Blitzkid for letting me use your song, She Dominates. And thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And thank you and good night.